There's one question coming out. It says, when you're dealing with a meta, sometimes you get competitors reporting to you multiple or fake, and your page getting restricted and ads are paused. What would your actions be in a scenario like this? Question is coming from Prabhat.
It might not only be a competitor reporting or fake reporting. It also, because Facebook also it has a lot of policies in terms of what you need to advertise, how you need to advertise. So, for an example, you can't advertise a whitening product and say, like, if you use my product, your teeth will glow. Now, that is we call a false promise. So there are a lot of, from an advertising policy point of view, there's like a massive level of policy requirements that you have to maintain to advertise. And so if you flag different verticals, your ad will get restricted, your ad will start getting banned, your pages will start getting banned. That's more of a compliance kind of a thing. It's not only some people think, okay, just because I did something, my competitor started reporting me with fake accounts, I get blocked. It's not only like that. It doesn't work in that manner. It's just that you might have a particular issue in particular running an ad. You would be violating a Facebook ad policy. We have a different Facebook ad policy guideline of how you need to advertise. If you break that protocol, you will get a warning. You might get a warning, you might not get a warning, you might just get bad hammered. But yeah, we will help you as part of, I think, who you're Prabhat, you can reach to me. It depends on your circumstances. We should be able to help. It's a very individualistic point of view. Like, one issue may lead into multiple issues, but it's not only about reporting. No one actually, there could be reports happening, but that's not the only reason for you to get banned.
So I would like to welcome Dr. Rohan Tatukorla, the pioneer of the MBA series and People of Action, to formally introduce our guest speaker for this evening. Doctor, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. We have a fantastic personality, a real People of Action tagliner. He's a multiple award-winning digital marketing professional who has over 13 years of experience in digital marketing fraternity. He wears a variety of skills in digital marketing field. He has shaped Sri Lanka's leading news publisher, Vijaya Newspapers, digital strategy for 11 years. He's also specialized on concepts such as programmatic advertising, social listening, and digital PR. Currently, he is representing Facebook in Sri Lanka as the authorized Facebook sales partner attached to Road Advertising, where he works closely with the Sri Lankan marketing communications industry to provide them with strategic consultations and solutions related to Facebook family of apps. He's also the co-founder of Newsfire, a media startup company based in Sri Lanka. He also serves as the president of the Digital Marketing Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2022-2023. A chartered marketer, a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in UK, and also holds an MBA from Bucks University in UK. Further, he's a corporate trainer, speaker on digital media related topics. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Marketing Officer of Facebook at RAW, Umair Wolid. Umair, over to you.
Hi, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, and glad to be here. Hope I'm audible enough. I think an exciting evening when I think Doctor spoke to me a couple of weeks ago, just wanted to enlighten the MBA students and also part of APIT. So thank you very much, APIT and Doctor, for giving me this opportunity. So I think overall, we just wanted to dig in terms of what happens and how people are reacting on platforms such as Meta. We call it Meta in terms of that is the Facebook family of apps. And also like an overall context in terms of the Sri Lankan digital marketing ecosystem. So that's just the overall context. And I think Dr. gave a very lengthy description about me. So glad to be part of this. And I think over the next 15, 20, 25 minutes, we'll discuss about some of the latest things happening around in terms of Meta or in terms of Facebook, in terms of overall advertising and marketing communications kind of a landscape. Let me share my screen. Ruth, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Sure. And can we start, or do we have to?
No, please go ahead.
Cool. So I think, guys, what we wanted to discuss today, also just to give a complete context in terms of leveling up across the Meta family of apps, as I just briefly mentioned. So Meta, in this sense, it's overall the rebranding company name in terms of Facebook. So Meta family of apps is something that we overall club it together. What we call it as is Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and all those platforms related to Meta. That we go as Meta, which has all these complete inclusions of all these products. So what we wanted to discuss today is overall in terms of how we can level up. My name is Umair, and as Dr. gave me a lengthy description, I'll just quick skip on this. So I think what actually happens is Facebook, in terms of we have about 3.1 billion people. In terms of it's the largest discovery commerce engine in the world. If you see, so many businesses run in terms of Meta family of apps, so many individuals, so many corporates, so many startup companies run. And I think even in Sri Lankan context, I think what we have seen over the last few years, a complete emergence or complete exceptional growth in terms of the platform. What I call is platform is also the collectiveness of in terms of Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger kind of platforms. So what we also look at is from a Sri Lankan context. How many of you do you know that how many people are currently you can reach on Meta? I won't go into a Q&A, but I think just have a kind of a guesstimate in terms of what's the Facebook reach in terms of in a Sri Lankan context, what's the Meta reach in terms of a Sri Lankan context. So currently we go in a Sri Lankan context is Facebook is technically we reach about 9 million people. If you look at from a 22 million population of the country, we currently have closer to 11 million people are on the internet. And within the internet spectrum, we currently have about 9 million people on the platform of Facebook. So if you look at from a TV context or a radio point of view, because those are the traditional mediums of advertising and marketing communications landscape. Basically, you call the print, those are newspapers, you call the radios, and then the TV channels. So currently, Sri Lankan overall media is technically dominated from a TV point of view, but Meta is digital from a point of view, and Meta is giving up. It's almost there. So we have from a very high level context, we have about 9 million people you can reach, and these are like proper number driven. Like these data, it's not estimates. These are proper data on the platform. Even if you are available, if you're on the platform, especially on advertising point of view, you would be able to see these numbers in terms of the reach, the Facebook reach. You can get it in this kind of a level. So contextually, Sri Lanka has grown in this context, in this level for the last 2 to 3 years. Reach, the people are coming into the platform. Even new platforms or even platforms like Instagram has grown significantly. What we also see is a complete growth in terms of the people. And also the time spent. Now, if you see, even if your parents or even your grandparents are now on the platforms overall in terms of digital, even it could be Facebook, it could be YouTube, it could be any platform. So from overall context point of view, what we see is in terms of Facebook, also we have about a 41% penetration in terms of the entire Sri Lanka's population. That's a massive number for a country like Sri Lanka, that you have this part of your population is also almost part of the entire thing. What we also look at now is people have infinite choices, that they value highly personalized experience. So I mean, there are few people who are running businesses. There are people, I think, on the audience that who are in terms of doing corporate jobs, and they are responsible of their brand's performances in terms of overall. So I think what it also links into this overall Facebook or Meta kind of a platform is that people also like personalized experience. Even if you see how you browse a platform like Facebook or Instagram, you would start seeing the content what you like. I know there are a lot of people saying, no, I get irrelevant content for me. But if you see most of the content you see are something that you have shown the system, or you have shown the AI, or you have shown the algorithm in terms of these platforms. saying that you are interested. If you're watching kind of videos, say if you're watching sports videos, you will start seeing a lot of sports. If you are looking into cooking or recipe related content on any of these platforms, you will start seeing more and more content. So because you are giving a signal. So what also happens is people, it's a very highly personalized experience that you have. Because of the personalized experience, brands needs to be smart. Brands needs to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of how they do it. So Sri Lankan, I would say from a Sri Lankan context, most of the social media platforms, or most of how people would have looked at social media as their overall strategy is in terms of how they want to put some posts. Like say you will probably get a guy to put about 10-15 posts for a month, and you agree on a retainer fee, and you start creating content after content, and just start uploading it on the platforms, and then you see, okay, am I reaching the right audience? But I think now the context has changed a little bit. It's not about the content, the number of content you put. It's about how well you can curate your content to your audience, because people don't just come to see branded content or ads or nice looking posts. So that's something that what has shifted over the last, I would say last 4-5 years. We have seen a complete difference in terms of how the platform is reacting. So leaning forward, businesses can no longer wait for people to search and stock for them. So what this means is also like we had two eras. If you look at this side, what you have is people on a what is e-commerce? E-commerce is people find products. People look for a product. If I want to buy an AirPod, I might go and look for an AirPod from a website, from Apple or from Daraz or from any e-commerce platform. I would look for that. That is you basically, and then the entire fulfillment happens. But what has also happened is in terms of Meta or in terms of Facebook kind of platforms, what has happened is there's something called discovery commerce. We have e-commerce, we have something called discovery commerce. So discovery commerce is something that which products find people. Those days the businesses actually do people look for products. Now it's more of the other side around. Still if you want a particular product, you will also start looking at it. But I think what mostly happens is products find people. That is the new way of businesses. That is the way that people are amplifying their sales, because sometimes people also don't know what they really want. But if you can show the right product for me, or if you can entice me to purchase something, I think even in an audience, you might end up buying a from a clothing store. You might end up buying a top, buying a jeans, which you really didn't want for the first place, but you would have been enticed. Like you would be really interesting content you would have seen, and you would have ended up buying it. And I think today the world is shifting towards discovery commerce. That is one key component. So if you are representing a brand now, if you are coming from a brand point of view, if your brand is also on the platform, and if you can entice people to, because the final objective of social media is, or in terms of your overall strategy, is not only to maintain your page or the number of likes, it's to end objective is a conversion. Or it could be a sale, or it could be your brand, it could be increasing your brand equity, or it could be increasing your overall brand presence and footprint among the market. So that is, I think, so Facebook, or in terms of Meta, now sits in a very strategic positioning. I also quote kind of a wording there, is because we also call a lot of things called digital marketing, but I personally believe there's nothing called digital marketing. What we do is marketing in a digital world, or marketing in a digital environment. That's what we do. That's what everyone do. So principles of marketing or principles of communication strategies doesn't change. It's just the platform change. The way you do is in a digital environment. So that's what we need to start moving around. So I think products find people is something that we really have to start looking, because how these products, if you also look at this slide, you would see like you could see people, this particular dress, it could entice you in a way, and even in some instances you can even do the entire purchase would happen within the platform. It's not available in Sri Lanka in most cases, but some of the other markets, how the platform is developed is you can even start doing a transaction, and in the end of the day, the entire sale would happen on Facebook. So also in a Sri Lankan context, you wouldn't believe there are some great numbers that we have seen how local small scale or local brands, how they do. Some of the largest brands in the country in terms of e-commerce, or I would say products they sell online, they don't even have a website. One of our largest customers who sell a lot of items or a lot of online items, he doesn't even have a website. They do multi-million worth of sales. They just have a Facebook page. They have few Facebook pages that they run different type of ads, different type of creatives, and they convert people. So the era of having a nice looking website, a nice looking Facebook page, or I would say the cliche brand manager kind of a concept you have. You want to put your logo on the right side top or on the left side top. Can I make my logo bigger? That concepts have completely changed in the current context of social media, how it has happened. So I think the audience also here, like you represent a lot of brands. I think even from a contextual level, if you can start thinking of how you can adapt into the new tech, the people have not changed. People are doing the same thing that they do, but the platforms, how they react on platforms have actually changed. Even if you look, like people now watch their favorite teledramas now watched on YouTube, or it could be on Facebook watch. Even your news bulletins now, you would get updated, but you might not end up watching TV news at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. You might basically watch it on Facebook. So people's interests have not changed, but the platforms have actually changed overall. So I think one key takeaway I want to get you from this entire slide is that this overall concept of discovery commerce, which is a new thing in terms of a Sri Lankan context. You discover and do this commerce. It's from an e-commerce where people find products. Now products find people, and people will continue their effort. And while when you are doing personalized, when you do discovery commerce, what is another key element is you need to be personalized, you need to be relevant. So earlier I said, like, you start, the system has, if you give the system the time to learn, the system is far greater than our knowledge in terms of targeting. Yes, back in the days when you also, if there are people who used to run Facebook, as we also say, to do very niche targeting, you squeeze your targeting the way you feel the best of your performances. But now it's a more of the algorithm knows is better. You target a little bit broader, you use the right creative, or you test your creative. There are a few technical aspects of how you can create, you can test your creative. And then what you can do is it also becomes much more personalized. Even if you see some of these examples, like now this is a brand from a male luxury fashion brand, and then you basically start targeting. And if you see even different types of platforms, you have this a Facebook ad, or could be an Instagram story. You can start running campaigns. So it's now for people who are not aware about what is a campaign and what is, we have two concepts. Like, one is the organic content. Organic means what you do in terms of without amplifying. You just probably would post your content on pages, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page. And then the other aspect of it is advertising it, or in terms of amplifying this content. The more effort you put on amplifying it, it could also get you more results, while you have the other aspects of your business or in your social media strategy. So that's what I initially also mentioned, that it also comes into a complete marketing funnel where you create an awareness, then you get them into the consideration level, and then also you take them to the conversion level. So as I said, that even in a social media, it could be a simple Facebook post and you amplify it, but this whole principles of marketing, the marketing funnel will remain the same. The principles of marketing, where you take a customer from an awareness level to a consideration level to converting and probably build loyalty, that remains the same. So the entire funnel of marketing you could actually practice on Meta. And I think from a Sri Lankan context, we have seen some great brands, even SME, very small scale brands do some great stuff. Some of the examples I'm using here is more of international examples or what you see, but these are just for learning purposes. So Facebook's discovery commerce is overall, it's multiple platforms. And also, I think there are a lot of technical advancement that you can do. Businesses like machine learning technology delivers relevant experiences. The system that actually has a lot more in-depth knowledge in terms of how I behave. So, and what I'm looking for now is that I can actually start putting a lot more effort in terms of, for me, from a Facebook point of view, if you see, if I am looking for a thing or if I'm getting interested in a particular item, if I'm looking for an airport. So I think also another context that has happened is people now start searching on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. You also might look for a particular clothing outlet or even your favorite travel destination. You might start browsing not only on a search engine, you'll probably even search now on platforms like Meta. So Facebook understands people beyond demographics, because I'm giving, it's not about only targeting male, female, but also it's just about the interest that I have at that particular moment. And the machine learning capacity that the platform has is much more stronger than what we think of what my customer would know. And then we also have seen a lot of examples within the country that people sometimes think that my brand is bought or my brand is purchased only on a particular segment, but sometimes you end up buying your brand's biggest audience might be something different. There was a luxury Sri Lankan clothing brand which was thinking that their purchase was, or most of their customers were in Colombo, but their biggest sales were actually, once you start broadening up your target, they started selling their biggest products in Madhavachi. So sometimes even you won't believe, like a luxury clothing brand, biggest online sales are happening in Madhavachi than Colombo. So that could be some of the inspects that these platforms can actually start giving it. So those are some of the insights that we have as a platform. So so you need to build your strategy in terms of what we call is like a brilliant basics. This also includes what is your overall business objective, and within your business objective, how you want to take it forward. So I think, see, these topics also is a very lengthy, very long discussions. We could go on days and days and hours of knowledge sharing in terms of this topic. But for the overall timing point of view, I will just skip some of those stuff, but just for a high level, we'll discuss some stuff. Another key factor that I wanted to highlight is now most Sri Lankan brands, or one of their, especially the senior people in the company, they look for something called a like. So we have shifted, the platform has been shifted from this side to this side, where it says we have shifted from likes. Now we are not looking for a like or a follower. A like doesn't mean a lot from a business objective. It's not a major metric that you need to look at, but still, we have a lot of brands come and say, okay, how can I increase my likes from 50,000 to 500,000? That is my biggest KPI. My promotion is lying on this. If I get 500,000 likes, I'm definitely going to get an increment. So in Sri Lanka, specifically some of the larger organizations and also people who are in the industry, not in terms of a very heavy marketing background, they look at these numbers, they try to compare it with their competitor. But from a platform wise, what we are saying is we are not now looking for likes. So how do I get more followers? You don't have to worry. But what you need to worry about is how can I drive awareness to drive purchase intent? How do I get more likes? No. How can I get more brand loyalty? Or how can I get my brand visibility? How can I get a brand lift? Those are some of the things that I want to highlight. And also, we also say, like, okay, you have more comments, more engagements, more likes on your pages, more. If you post a picture, you will have 100 likes. And if your competitor posting a picture, he has 500 likes, and you can't come to a conclusion that your competitor is doing better and you are doing bad. So it's not about the engagement or likes. It's about how can I drive X amount of sales. Can I amplify? And also, I think another key factor what we want to highlight is social media amplification is not only about driving e-commerce or online sales. we need to look at from an overall point of view. If you look at from an FMCG brand, example, a biscuit brand, a very much day-to-day FMCG brand, we also have done studies. If you stop your social media activities or social media amplifications versus if you don't do anything in the market, if you do social media activities, do you have an overall bump in your sale? So that kind of a level of information, or that is where we are coming at from a very strategic point of view, how social media, how Meta or Facebook or Instagram can actually help your overall strategic shift of your business. So that's some of the key factors that would want to like it. So also it's like an iceberg. So likes and engagement, comments are actually on the top of the iceberg, but the below part is what you need to see. If you need to start looking at, if I get a 0.8% likes and shares, what kind of a brand lift I can get? Can I get a brand recall? And then what is the target? What percentage of my target audience has seen my ad or has seen my content? So these are some of the overall points that we wanted to highlight. And another, I think, problem, I'm thinking I have about 5 minutes. I think another thing is that in terms of production and content. So there is an overall myth in the current context is that to do social media content also you would need a lot of production or a lot of different devices. But mobile short videos are actually performing very well on the platforms. So mobile short video actually outperform. They do better than studio short video, especially on Instagram kind of platforms. I think you should be able to see this video. Now, this clip, which is currently playing, is a very nice advertisement on a content, which is done by the KLM Royal British Airline. If you see, now this is very much production shot, proper cameras are used, nicely edited, perfect kind of a thing. Now what I'm playing in this side is, now this is kind of done through a mobile phone, which is not lit properly. You don't have the camera angles or proper production driven stuff, but it is very, very casual kind of a thing. So what we have found out is overall from researchers and the brands practices is that 84% of there is more chances the reach and the purchase intent on these kind of more casual content, not production driven content, is actually is on these kind of a platform. So another insight that I wanted to highlight is that when you create your social media content strategy, don't only think about very cliche, very don't get your newspaper ad or your brochure to a Facebook post, or don't try to get your TV commercial as a video commercial on Meta. So that's some of the insights that I wanted to overall highlight. Ruth, I think we have time up, right?
Thank you so much, Umair.
Sure.
Fantastic. Whole heap of questions are coming up. If we could go off screen, Umair, then lovely.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Well, so let me take the questions one by one. One question coming out is that you talked about the funnel, the consumer funnel, and the story that is being told is that you move from awareness to top of the mind, and then you got to see as to how you can move for conversions. What has been the experience for Facebook in terms of moving the consumer in the purchasing process, or does it stay mainly at the awareness and the top of the mind boxes?
So I think the beauty of the platform is that it is creating it is ticking all those boxes. You can start. So I think from a Sri Lankan context, I'll give you a couple of examples how local brands work with. Some brands, they only focus on Meta for awareness. If it's like a very large scale FMCG brand, so they create awareness, they create the hype, they create the brand, the equity kind of a thing. And then you also have brands like the e-commerce brands or some proper sales-driven brands. They only focus on. Do you also believe that Sri Lanka's biggest real estate companies sell lands on Facebook? Their biggest land sales are happening. So that is proper conversion. We have found out companies who are real estate companies. These are large-scale property developers. Their biggest apartment sales are now happening through Facebook and Instagram. So how it works is, so it's a proper conversion-driven stuff. So you create that funnel, you build the awareness, you get into the consideration level, and then you start pushing them for the final sale. So the beauty of the platform is you can really start. We have a methodology called ROAS, return on ad spend. So whatever you advertise on return, you can actually start measuring in terms of what's the conversion. So the platform is exceptionally works very well in terms of the conversion. You can really drive people to buy or test your product, from selling a luxury apartment to selling a phone cover, which is $1,000, to selling a 50 million apartment. Everything is now actually happening on Meta platforms. So conversion is a key component of the platform's capabilities.
Umair, how does this suggestive AI work? How does that come in? How does that play on now Meta?
Yeah, so I think with the overall buzz of overall AI, so I think it's the algorithm that what we provide. So I think Facebook is one of the only platforms that is targeted people. So it's about, so what I see is not what you see. If you browse your Facebook profile versus if I browse my Facebook profile, it's two different things. So it's also a bit of a algorithm, bit of a AI system which works. It's what we call from the platform is the signal. If I give a signal to the platform, that is, if when I scroll, I stop a particular content, I'll start consuming an ad from or a content from Appit. From tomorrow, I will start seeing much more content which is given from Appit. And in your case, if you start consuming about BMWs, you will start seeing a lot of content from a car. So that is just suggesting that you give the signal to the platform that I am interested in this particular thing. So it'll be on the particular time frame, time zone, which we don't. It's hard to predict from an individual point of view how it works. But if the system is so smart that it will start seeing what you really want, you may get irrelevant stuff randomly, but that's also the signal that you give. So it's about what you give to it's like an input and output kind of. You give system that this is what I'm looking for. You might not think that I'm giving the system the signal, but your behavior on the platform will be reflecting on what you see. So that's how this whole suggestive part happens, and that's what you see. See content. Or when you start looking for an ad, or when you start looking for a particular, you just Google or just on the Meta platform, just search for an apartment, looking for an apartment in Colombo. From tomorrow onwards, or within about 48 hours, you'll start seeing the same content. So you give a signal to the system identifies that, okay, Dr. Rohant is now looking for an apartment in Colombo, and let me show all possible options. And you like it, you convert it, you buy it, or you just try to keep it top of the mind. So that's how it works in a back-end kind of a thing.
So if somebody is coming out with the advertising budget, what happens? Do we put more money on Facebook and then we put to Instagram, and then we look at the rest of the other, how does the combination work, Umair? What advice do you give us?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think so as a platform, especially on Meta, we call it like Meta family of apps. It's like one family. So actually, you don't have to worry about whether the person sees on Facebook or Instagram. What happens is Facebook is the only platform that targets a person. If I want to target an 18-year-old or 18 to 24-year-old female living in Colombo, it sometimes doesn't really matter whether I'm seeing the ad on Meta or on Facebook or Instagram. So the platform is more combined. So there might be people behave a little bit differently on a platform. That's what we say is, so there's no, it depends on what it works. So I think mostly how the budgets are working is you initially do a trial of a budget. sometimes you might see this particular artwork, this particular creative works better on Instagram, and my sales are driving more on Instagram. So like that, you have an insight, and then you benchmark your own capabilities. So that's how. There's currently there's no formula that you need to invest this much on Facebook, this much on Instagram. It doesn't work like that. But from an overall context, what we see is from an overall Sri Lankan point of view now, from an overall advertising budget, 30 to 40% now, 30% of the budget, mostly from a large corporates, now 30 to 40% goes on Meta platforms. This is comparing their TVs and TV budgets to all offline budgets. 40%, 30 to 40% goes on digital, and mostly on that goes on Facebook.
So what happens if I want to put my advertising on YouTube? So most of, let's say, all the channels are now on YouTube, and then that link that is also then linked on to Facebook and Instagram. So when you're using a typical digital marketing campaign, Umair, most of these ad agencies, they plow money more into the YouTubes, and then they put money into the Facebooks and Instagrams. So my question is that we as clients, how should we judge this, Umair? What's your advice?
So yeah, so how digital works is the different platforms have different capabilities. So YouTube has its own capabilities in terms of you need to also start looking at we call the platform as a lean back. When you browse, when you're watching YouTube, your head is you're ready to watch YouTube video, and then we call it a lean back platform. So that's where your content also changes, your commercial changes, your overall strategy changes. And on a Facebook kind of thing, people mostly scroll down, like they scroll. But if you're going to watch a YouTube video, you call it lean back, you sit down and I'm going to watch this 10 minutes video. And within that, you will have your commercial set, like a 5-second or a 15-second. So how the split, or where you invest more is also on trial and error kind of thing initially. Now what you see is a lot of TV campaigns. They run their TV ads on Google or on YouTube, which is also part of the Google platform. So, and then that gets linked to your overall sales funnels and kind of stuff. So that's a very good activity. Most of the large FMCG brands, if you just scroll down on YouTube, you'd start seeing a lot of branded ads going around. So that's just giving that top of the mind awareness. So you just look at from a TV point of view. Your TV objectives, you're now trying to do it more cost effectively. The other thing, Doctor, I want to mention is that digital is not a cheap medium. I think what Sri Lanka has gone through is that they have put digital as a very cheap medium. You can do it cheap. It's not cheap. It's more effective. So if you are investing 10 million on TV, you need to either bring 5 million, reduce 5 million from TV and put digital loss of 5 million, and then benchmark in a very equal way. Then we know digital platforms overall will perform better than a traditional media. But that's how the split happens. So it's more of how your brands, what is your brand's bigger objective is we need to play around on that point.
So how do you evaluate? Because you said return on ad spend is what you look at. How do we practically look at when it comes to Meta?
Actually, the platform has a lot of in-depth data. In terms of you will have your own data in terms of the platform. When you advertise, you will have everything on the platform. So it's not on assumptions. It doesn't work like on a traditional media. Like you would know exactly the number of people you reached particular material and the frequency. So if you want to target 50% of the Sri Lankan Facebook market within this particular age group, what's the frequency you want to do? Everything you can actually start measuring, and the platform provides it. These are not like third-party tools, or third-party tools can actually improve, but it's not someone like you can't cook up this data. It's also available on the platform. So once you start running it, I think the biggest question that most of the corporates ask was like, how can you measure it? The measurement is actually there within the platforms. So that is where we call it. It's not a cheap medium, but it's more effective because you can start actually measuring it. The return on ad spend, what's the reach, what's the frequency. So it's very similar to the traditional GPR methods, or what's your overall brand equity. Those kind of measurements actually you can start doing it on Meta.
So what's your advice on reach and frequency? Are we saying 3+ is good enough for impact?
So it depends on what's your brand. Sorry, that's 3+ is now what we also tell is on Meta. If you look, we also have a stat like a person would scroll down for a day or about 33,000 RP maybe. Pittu bomb views at a minutes to scroll karana dawasakata. So so you can't have the same frequency which you had like a 3+, because you are also bombarded with a lot of content. So there is you also can't have like so your frequency, also the time window is very short span, because people's attention to detail, the time span they provide is very fast. So so the frequency is not 3, it could be even 10 for particular. Some other brands actually go on a 10 frequency. You want to reach 80% of your target audience, and at a frequency of 8 to 10 it could happen. But some conversion driven. So what also happens is once you get into the consideration level, the frequency is actually high. If I look for an apartment from today, you start seeing the apartment, the frequency is high because the system knows I am looking for a apartment, and the frequency for me should be higher. But for a general audience, it might not be higher. So for some people, the frequency might be 2, but for me, because I am looking for an apartment, for me, the frequency might work for an 8. So that is the beauty of this platform. The platform will decide who will start seeing more, but you can actually set a benchmark, and also you can put a frequency cap. If you feel that I don't want to be over bombarding people, you can put a cap saying, okay, I need only maximum 10. I'll cap it there. So that all the system provides it. So it's a lot more. So actually another thing, Dr. What I see is a lot of traditional planners are getting into Meta because they understand the logic. So actually not the digital guys are more than the digital guys. Actually the traditional media planners are getting this language very, very fast.
So I don't know whether you have this data, Umair. So what's the value of marketing spend now? Last year, I think overall advertising spend was something like 162 billion Sri Lankan rupees. How much was Facebook? How much was Meta?
Yeah, so I mean, so because of an NDA purpose, I won't be able to share it on a overall public platform. But I think overall, if you would say from a Sri Lankan context, there's also a lot of people who do a lot of activities for Sri Lankans, like brands outside. They do a lot of activities to promote like even tourism. They try to attract people, or different hotels. So that spend also comes into the platform, but they try to target people from, like, say, UK to visit Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So that also will actually exploit the portion. But I think you have from a rough figure, I would say Sri Lanka's overall advertising market, Meta has about 20%, 15-20% in terms of dominance. And I think post-COVID, it has really grown significantly. And the beauty of it is, it's not only the brands that you would be knowing. Actually, the biggest advertisers on Facebook in Sri Lanka is not the brands that you and I know in terms of top of the mind. It's different set of brands who advertise, different set of products they sell, different set of objectives they run. So it's a little different, the overall context, how it works in the platform.
So now, for example, you say that 9 million is the reach.
The reach, yeah.
That you'll be having. How many households would that be, Umair?
So if you roughly look at it, Sri Lanka, generally we say about 4.5 million, 5 million households overall. Yeah. So this is also, I think, close to about 3 million households. We look at 3 to 2.5 to 3 million households. And I think the purchasing power of people, we have like age bracket. So I think now what has happened is people from, if you say 18 to 45, is like the overall, the bigger portion of the population is on that. So that the purchasing power is, they are the next gen of purchasing power in terms of everything. So even 18 to 24, 24 to 35, the segments are the biggest segments. So I think roughly it's about, from a household point of view, it would be about 2.5 to 3 million. There's no actual study. I'm just giving you estimates in terms of the numbers that we have.
Is there a regional skew?
Yes. More all towards that regional similar vibe we have.
So like it will be Western province, urban,
Yeah.
which has a higher reach than rural.
Western is obviously the higher part, and then you have from a district point of view, say Kandy, Kurunegala, that vibe. Even north, we have a good percentage of people, and because it's also the platform also gives you the flexibility in terms of to target people around a particular vicinity. So if you want to target people who are visiting to say north, you can still do it. So that so what we also tell is while you start narrow down your target, you also can broad. As I said that early example, like a luxury brand sells the most number of shirts for a particular period in Madhavachia. So you might not even know. That's how the concept of discovery commerce comes in. You might not know where your customers and the customers with the current thing, you don't know what you really want to buy or purchase. You might end up buying, I mean, sometimes you buy random stuff that you would never know or never wanted a few months ago. So I think district wise, there is a bit of a game, but it's Western province still dominates because of the infrastructure, telco, the 4G speeds, and all those stuff also comes into the region.
There's one question coming out. It says, when you're dealing with a meta, sometimes you get competitors reporting to you, multiple or fake, and your page getting restricted and ads are paused. What would your actions be in a scenario like this? Question is coming from Prabhat.
It might not only be a competitor reporting or fake reporting. It also, because Facebook also it has a lot of policies in terms of what you need to advertise, how you need to advertise. So for an example, you can't advertise a whitening product and say, like, if you use my product, your teeth will glow. Now that is we call a false promise. So there are a lot of, from an advertising policy point of view, there's like a massive level of policy requirements that you have to maintain to advertise. And so if you flag different verticals, your ad will get restricted, your ad will start getting banned, your pages will start getting banned. That's more of a compliance kind of a thing. It's not only some people think, okay, just because I did something, my competitor started reporting me with fake accounts, I get blocked. It's not only like that. It doesn't work in that manner. It's just that you might have a particular issue in particular running an ad. You would be violating a Facebook ad policy. We have a different Facebook ad policy guideline of how you need to advertise. If you break that protocol, you will get a warning. You might get a warning. You might not get a warning. You might just get bad hammered. But yeah, we will help you as part of, I think, who Prabhat, you can reach to me. It depends on your circumstances. We should be able to help. It's a very individualistic point of view. Like one issue may lead into multiple issues, but it's not only about reporting. No one actually, I mean, there could be reports happening, but that's not the only reason for you to get banned.
Umair, last question. Thank you so much for spending so much time. The question is that what are the key developments we could see from Facebook in the near future that might be very interesting for, because most of the MBA students whom we are listening will ever reach about 400 within the next 2 days. And each of these guys are actually running their own companies and they will reach up to you for sure. Any developments you see so that we need to keep our eyes tweaked to that area?
Yeah, so I think some of the couple of things that I also discussed is how you create content. That is something that which we are trying to develop from a Sri Lankan point of view. Also, you need to start creating content in a more user-friendly way from a user point of view, not from a brand point of view, because people don't come to the platform to watch ads. They come to consume content. So I think the biggest development would happen in a very content point of view is how you can create your content and how you can engage people. And also from an AI point of view, the platform will further develop into very sophisticated targeting methods of how your product will be positioned, how your service will be positioned to a particular audience. So I think that machine learning developments would actually start getting a little deeper. Those are, I think, the key parameters. But again, the pace of things happens week really can't predict. Like if you say that the top 4 things going to happen in the next 3 months, it's very hard to predict. Sometimes these could happen like within a week, within 2 months. A lot of things could change on the platforms. But I think from an overall AI, since the machine learning capabilities are getting really, really stronger, and how you want to use content to promote your brand, that needs to be very, very modern. So I think those are the 2 key, I would say, for the next 6 months. That could be one of the key changes that we have seen. Very positive changes some brands have done, and then they're seeing so many results of conversions. So results are basically conversions. Sometimes you change a little bit of things, even a small artwork, you subtle change, suddenly you see a bump in your sales. So being ready for that is one key component.
Thank you so much, Umair. It's been a fantastic discussion, and I mean, real people of action. So proud that you're a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. Lovely to have you on the show today, and the kind of ideas and the thinking. It kind of motivates youngsters. Sorry, I have to ask this question. What is your advice to youngsters, Umair? Because you have gone through the hog, you have made it. I mean, you run brands, you run companies, and now, of course, you own companies. What is your advice to a youngster studying for the master's program?
Yeah, I think the biggest learnings that we have seen over the last 2-3 years is while you do all your qualifications, you can actually start up something very small on these platforms. What we have seen is the smartest kids that we have seen around the park now is that I mean, actually speaking, one of the MBA students is one of the largest advertisers in Sri Lanka. He sells, like, you have concepts like drop shipping, you do different stuff. So I think starting that, it might not only be the monetary values, but learning the platforms, so I think just starting up something, and I think if you have time is the biggest, I would say, when you're young, you have a lot of time. While we do a lot of things, if you can put that time a little bit focused, couple of hours, you start studying and you crack these algorithms, how it works. So I think I would say, I mean, I know from an educational point of view, you could do a lot of wonders, but I think if you can also put about a half an hour, 45 minutes for a day, I'm just going to learn a new skill in terms of these digital platforms. The platform's capabilities are immense, and there are a lot of opportunities out of Sri Lanka in terms of you can stay in Sri Lanka and start running businesses outside. We see that is a big trend. From not a BPO sector, but a lot of freelance works actually happens, because we see a lot of youngsters who are running Australian companies, digital marketing activities in Sri Lanka, and this could be so. I think getting into the platforms, running these, taking that risk, time. If you can put the time, that's the for a new skill, any skill in terms of this platforms. If you can put the time and concentrated time, I think that's going to change the game.
Thank you so much, Umair. Spent so much time. Really appreciate. Really proud of you, where you have taken yourself to, and the kind of contribution you have made to this country. Thank you so much for taking your time off. Ruth, over to you.
Thanks, Doctor. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and wish you all the best for all the students and people who are watching.
Ruth, over to you.
Amazing. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Just like Doctor said, Umair, your session today has been very insightful, very current, and very relevant. And I am sure for anybody who's been on the platform on Facebook as well, they would have learned quite a lot. So thank you for taking the time out to address our students, and we really appreciate that. So drawing to a close, I would like to remind our industry partners that at Rapid we have a very strong internship program. So if you do have vacancies, do send it across to us. And if you have anybody in your company who's looking to upskill themselves, we have a newly launched MSc Marketing Management program that might just fit. So with this, I'd like to thank all our students
all our partners and everyone and anyone who has joined in. Thank you so much and have a good day, a good evening, and a good night. Till the next session.